There is a divine law that governs all things, seen and unseen, and money too moves under this law. Money is not a cold, lifeless thing. It is energy, a symbol of the infinite substance of the universe, ever ready to flow to those who understand its sacred rhythm. When one blesses money, one aligns with the law of increase, the eternal principle that what you bless, blesses you in return. Most people look upon money with fear, resentment, or grasping desire. They call it hard to get, scarce, or the root of evil. Yet whatever you condemn, you push away. Whatever you fear, you magnetize in its most unpleasant form. The wise soul sees money not as an idol to worship, nor as a demon to dread, but as a divine idea made manifest. A current of God's good circulating through human hands, but actually a current of God's good circulating through human hands. Blessing money changes its vibration. To bless is to speak good over a thing, to charge it with love and gratitude. When you look upon a single coin and say, "You are blessed, and you bless me with abundance multiplied," you awaken a spiritual power greater than effort, calculation, or worry could ever summon. The coin becomes a seed, and like a seed placed in fertile soil, it grows and multiplies after its kind. There are those who chase money with anxiety, and there are those who draw it with ease. The difference lies not in circumstance, but in consciousness. The anxious mind says, "There is not enough." The blessed mind declares, "Divine supply is endless, and it flows through me now." The first mind builds walls of lack. The second opens gates of increase. If you would have your money multiply, begin by blessing what you already have. Count each dollar with joy, for joy is the magnet of prosperity. Say within yourself, "This money is God's good in visible form. It returns to me increased, for I send it forth with love. Let no payment leave your hand without your silent word of blessing upon it. For as you give, so shall you receive." Never speak of bills as burdens. Instead, see them as proof of circulation, the evidence that energy is moving through your life. To bless your obligations is to transform them into opportunities for more abundance. The one who pays grudgingly delays the return. The one who pays gladly multiplies the flow. To bless is to trust, and to trust is to align with the infinite. The universe responds to faith as surely as an echo answers a voice. Speak increase, think increase, feel increase, and the law of multiplication must obey, for whatever you bless in love expands under grace. Money blessed is money multiplied. It is never the amount that matters, but the consciousness behind it. One act of sincere blessing can unlock rivers of prosperity where once there seemed only dryness. The divine law knows no limitation. Bless every penny, every transaction, every opportunity, and watch as your world unfolds in golden measure. Blessing money aligns it with divine law and abundance. To understand this truth, one must first awaken to the fact that money is not a mere human invention, but a divine instrument, a channel through which the infinite substance of the universe expresses itself in form. Everything that exists carries within it the essence of divine energy, and money is no exception. It is spirit condensed into substance, an idea of supply taking material shape. By making use of applauding, some may fancy that they have enough and wealth. Blessing money. When you bless it, you do not merely utter kind words. You invoke the creative law of the universe that governs all increase, all flow, all prosperity. Money, like any form of energy, responds to vibration. It is sensitive to thought, tone, and intention. The words and emotions you direct toward it shape its movement in your life. If you see money through the eyes of fear or scarcity, it withdraws. If you see it through the eyes of love and faith, it returns multiplied. When you bless money, you charge it with a higher frequency. It becomes purified of anxiety and limitation, and takes on the quality of divine substance, which is infinite, intelligent, and ever-expanding. To bless means to confer good upon a thing. It means to see it as part of God's perfect order. When you bless money, You are declaring that it is not something separate from spirit, but rather an expression of it. You are lifting it from the plane of material struggle to the realm of divine circulation. The act of blessing transforms your relationship with money from one of dependency or fear to one of harmony and partnership. You no longer chase it, you magnetize it. You no longer hoard it, you trust its return. Many people live under the illusion that money is outside the law of the divine. They see it as a material problem requiring material solutions. They toil, worry, and calculate, believing that hard effort alone will produce prosperity. But effort without spiritual alignment is like rowing a boat against the current. It exhausts and yields little. When you bless money, you place yourself in harmony with the unseen current that carries all things forward with ease. You begin to attract opportunities, resources, and ideas that were previously invisible to you because fear had clouded your perception. Blessing money does not mean worshiping it or craving it. It means recognizing it as a sacred trust, a symbol of divine supply moving through human channels. Just as the sun shines without discrimination, divine substance seeks expression wherever it is welcomed. When you bless money, you open the gates for that expression to flow freely through your life. You become a conduit for abundance rather than a reservoir of lack. Each time you handle money, whether receiving or giving, your inner attitude determines its future. If you hold $1 and think, "This is so little," you imprint limitation upon it. But if you look at the same dollar and say, "You are blessed, you are the visible form of God's inexhaustible supply, and you multiply as you go forth," you have invoked the creative law. The vibration of that dollar changes. It goes out into the world carrying the seed of increase, and by the same law it must return multiplied. The divine law of abundance does not measure by numbers but by consciousness. A person may possess great sums and yet live in fear of loss, which is still poverty. Another may hold little but bless it constantly, knowing it as divine supply in miniature, and that consciousness will inevitably draw more. The outer world always reflects the inner vibration. Blessing money shifts the inner vibration from lack to plenty, from grasping to gratitude, from doubt to trust. It aligns you with the rhythm of divine flow, where increase is natural, effortless, and continuous. Every blessing spoken over money is a prayer of recognition. It is saying to the universe, "I see the good in this. I see the divine in this." And because the universe mirrors consciousness, that recognition expands into experience. You cannot bless something and keep it small. Blessing is expansion in motion. To bless money is to set it free to circulate, grow, and return. Money that is blessed carries joy. Money that is cursed with fear stagnates. Blessing is the sacred breath that keeps prosperity alive and moving. It is not the quantity of money that determines abundance, but the quality of the consciousness behind it. When you align your thoughts with divine law through blessing, you turn ordinary currency into a living current of spiritual energy. You stop seeing money as finite paper and begin to see it as a flowing expression of infinite supply. This shift in vision is what multiplies it. For the outer world always arranges itself according to the inner pattern. The moment you see money as blessed, it becomes so. The divine law of abundance operates through circulation. What you give in blessing returns in multiplication. Money blessed before it leaves your hand carries your vibration of faith and goodwill to those who receive it. It becomes a messenger of divine increase. Those who handle it, even unknowingly, feel its harmonious influence. It blesses them and returns to you through channels equally inspired. The entire process is an invisible exchange of spiritual energy disguised as economic movement. When you bless money, you also release it from the bondage of human judgment. You no longer call it evil or corrupt. You see it for what it truly is: neutral energy, shaped only by the intention that directs it. In the hands of love, it heals, uplifts, and expands. In the hands of fear, it contracts. The act of blessing reclaims money for divine purpose, making it a servant of good rather than a master of worry. Blessing money aligns you with the law of gratitude. And gratitude is the key that opens every gate of increase. To bless is to give thanks in advance, to affirm abundance before it appears. This state of expectancy draws more of the same. It dissolves the consciousness of lack, which is the only real poverty. Once you truly know that money is divine in essence, you cease to struggle for it. You become calm, confident, and magnetic. You recognize that divine substance is ever seeking to express itself as supply in your life, and your only task is to stay in tune with it through blessing. The divine law is impartial and exact. It responds not to words alone, but to the feeling behind them. When you bless money, let it be with genuine joy, not mechanical repetition. Feel its sacredness, its readiness to serve good. Hold it as you would hold a small light that can ignite many lamps without diminishing its own flame. Every coin, every note, every number in your account can be a vessel of divine circulation if you will but see it that way. Blessing money also heals the collective fear that humanity has placed upon it. For generations, people have struggled under the belief that money is hard to earn, easy to lose, and unevenly distributed. But divine law knows no shortage, no injustice, no delay. When one person blesses money sincerely, that vibration contributes to the healing of the greater whole. Prosperity becomes not a selfish pursuit, but a shared awakening to divine supply. Through blessing, you move from effort to ease, from struggle to surrender, from limitation to expansion. The act itself is simple, but its power is immeasurable. Every time you receive, give, or even think of money, bless it. Let each transaction be a silent affirmation of divine order. Let each coin remind you that abundance is infinite, that supply is spiritual, that circulation is divine law in motion. In blessing money, you are blessing life itself, aligning your personal world with the inexhaustible richness of the universe. What you bless blesses you in return. This is a sacred law woven into the fabric of the universe, operating silently yet unfailingly in every life. Every thought, every word, every feeling you release into the world becomes a seed, and by the eternal law of cause and effect, that seed must return to you multiplied. When you bless, you do not merely speak pleasant words, you set in motion invisible forces of harmony, expansion, and good. Blessing is not flattery, nor is it wishful thinking. It is the conscious recognition of divine perfection in all things. What you bless, you raise in vibration, and in lifting another aspect of life, you lift yourself. When you bless a person, a situation, or even a piece of money, you acknowledge its divine essence. You stop seeing it through the lens of fear, criticism, or lack, and instead behold it through the eyes of spirit. The universe mirrors that recognition back to you, for it always matches your inner tone. If you send forth judgment, judgment returns. If you send forth blessing, blessing returns. Life is not random, it is perfectly reflective. Every outer experience is a mirror of your inner state, and blessing is the act that transforms that mirror from distortion to clarity. When you bless anything, you step into harmony with the creative power that governs all. You no longer resist life, you cooperate with it. Resistance creates friction, and friction delays manifestation. But blessing releases flow. It is the spiritual lubricant that allows good to move freely through your experience. Many people pray for prosperity while cursing their circumstances, unaware that their unspoken complaints block the very supply they seek. To bless is to reverse that pattern. It is to open the channel. You bless not because everything appears perfect, but because, through blessing, you call perfection into visibility. What you bless blesses you in return, because blessing carries your vibration forward like a ripple in still water. Each time you bless something, that ripple expands outward, touches other lives, and inevitably circles back to you. The blessing you give becomes the atmosphere you live in. A heart that blesses dwells in peace, and peace attracts all that is good. A mind that blesses lives in trust, and trust opens every door. The more you bless, the more you feel blessed, for blessing heightens your awareness of the divine circulation of good that surrounds you. There is power in blessing those who have hurt you, those who oppose you, and those who seem to block your path. To bless them is not to condone their actions, but to release yourself from the vibration of resentment. What you curse, you bind to yourself. What you bless, you free. The energy you send out is the energy that shapes your own experience. By blessing those who appear as obstacles, you transform them into stepping stones of spiritual growth. You elevate your consciousness and the universe rearranges itself in your favor. When you bless your work, it prospers. When you bless your body, it strengthens. When you bless your home, it becomes a sanctuary. The act of blessing magnetizes good to the object of your attention because blessing aligns your thought with divine truth. Everything you look upon is made of the same spiritual substance. The difference between harmony and disorder is not in the thing itself, but in the vibration with which you regard it. Blessing is the alchemy that turns ordinary situations into opportunities for good. It draws out the hidden perfection that already exists in all things. When you bless, you affirm that life is governed by divine law, not by chance or struggle. You declare that good is omnipresent, waiting only to be recognized. In that recognition, good rushes forth to meet you. The universe cannot help but reflect the consciousness you project. To bless your finances, your relationships, your work, your surroundings, is to weave them into the fabric of divine order. What you bless expands because the vibration of blessing is one of increase, and increase is the nature of divine life. Consider how the sunlight touches everything without discrimination. It blesses the rich and poor alike, the flower and the stone, and yet it loses none of its brilliance. So it is with spiritual blessing. It gives without depletion. The more you bless, the more radiant your own consciousness becomes. The act of blessing opens your heart wider, and that open heart becomes a magnet for all that is harmonious, joyful, and abundant. What you send forth with sincerity cannot fail to return, for energy moves in perfect circles, always completing itself. Blessing is also the highest form of giving. True giving is not measured by material exchange, but by the quality of energy behind it. A coin given in resentment yields nothing, but a coin given with a word of blessing multiplies. A gesture done with irritation creates resistance, but the same act done in blessing becomes sacred. Every blessing you offer becomes a form of invisible wealth stored in the treasury of your soul. It circulates, grows, and returns to you in forms you may not recognize at first. Peace of mind, health, unexpected opportunities, or the quiet joy of knowing that life is on your side. Blessing money, especially, carries great power, for it redeems centuries of fear and misuse associated with it. Each time you bless money, you help restore it to its divine purpose as a servant of good, not an object of greed. The money you bless becomes an instrument of circulation, carrying your goodwill wherever it goes. It blesses those who receive it, and brings back to you multiplied good. This is not mere poetic fancy, it is the working of spiritual law. The energy of blessing cannot be confined. It expands, it uplifts, it returns. To bless is to choose faith over fear. It is to affirm that beneath every appearance of lack or discord, divine order is at work. When you bless a difficult situation, you do not deny its existence. You simply refuse to give it the power of fear. You look beyond the surface and call forth the hidden good. That act of recognition changes the pattern of vibration around it, and as the vibration changes, so does the manifestation. Blessing transforms not by force but by realization. It replaces the shadow of doubt with the light of knowing. Blessing is also a silent teacher. As you practice it, you begin to see that life is always responding to your inner tone. The one who blesses learns that nothing outside needs to change for good to unfold. Only perception must shift. Every person and every experience becomes an opportunity to bless. You begin to bless the morning for its promise, the challenges for their lessons, the stillness for its guidance. And in doing so, you create a field of grace around you. Others feel it without knowing why. Circumstances soften, harmony appears, and what once seemed difficult begins to unfold with ease. The principle that what you bless blesses you in return is as sure as the law of gravity. It does not depend on belief or religion. It is the natural rhythm of the universe. Blessing moves in circles, not lines. When you bless, you send good forward, and that good curves back to meet you in perfect time. It may come through a kind word, a new opportunity, an unexpected gift, or a deep inner peace. The form may vary, but the essence remains the same. What you send forth in blessing must return as blessing. To bless is to live consciously, to act as a creator rather than a reactor. The unawakened mind reacts to appearances. The awakened mind blesses them into transformation. Through blessing, you take your rightful place as co-creator with divine law. You cease to plead with life and begin to direct it. You understand that the world is a mirror, and blessing is the polish that reveals its true reflection. Every word of blessing is a brushstroke of light on the canvas of your experience, painting beauty where there was dullness, peace where there was conflict, abundance where there was lack. In blessing, you align with the rhythm of divine reciprocity. You give love, and love returns. You speak increase, and increase answers. You send forth peace, and peace envelops you. Life becomes a continuous exchange of blessing, an ever-flowing river of mutual good between you and the universe. The more you bless, the more you realize that you are not separate from the good you seek. You are part of its circulation, part of its endless flow of divine harmony. Gratitude and joy are magnets for prosperity. The moment one awakens to this truth, life begins to unfold in a rhythm of ease and abundance. Gratitude is not a passive emotion. It is a creative force, a spiritual current that aligns the individual with the divine source of all supply. When one feels genuine thankfulness, even for the smallest blessings, that feeling radiates an invisible vibration of attraction. The universe, always responsive to vibration, sends back experiences that match it in kind. Gratitude opens the gate through which prosperity flows. Joy sustains that flow, keeping it lively and expanding, for joy is the natural language of divine substance. To live in gratitude is to live in awareness of good. It is to look beyond appearances of lack or difficulty and perceive the invisible supply that surrounds every situation. The grateful mind does not wait for conditions to improve before giving thanks. It gives thanks first, and by doing so calls forth the improvement. Gratitude is faith in action. It declares, I already have all that I need in spirit, and it is now unfolding into form. This inner recognition sets the law of manifestation in motion. The vibration of gratitude is magnetic. It draws to itself more of what it recognizes as good. Joy is the twin of gratitude. Where gratitude acknowledges, joy celebrates. Joy is the overflowing of the heart that knows its connection to the divine source. It is not dependent on outer events. It springs from inner harmony. The joyful person carries a lightness that dissolves obstacles and invites opportunities. Joy clears the atmosphere of worry and opens the way for creative ideas to appear. It is a powerful magnet for prosperity because it signals to the universe that one is ready to receive without resistance. The vibration of joy and abundance are the same, and when one lives joyfully, abundance must respond. Many people wait for prosperity before they feel gratitude or joy, but this reverses the law. Gratitude and joy do not follow abundance. They create it. When one says, I will be thankful when I have more money, one closes the door on the very flow of supply. The divine law requires recognition first. When you give thanks for the good you already have, no matter how small, you acknowledge divine substance as active in your life. That acknowledgement increases its expression. To bless and give thanks for $1 is to invite 10 more. To complain about $10 is to repel even that. The grateful heart is never empty. It sees beauty where others see plainness, opportunity where others see failure, and growth where others see loss. Gratitude changes the lens through which reality is viewed, and that change of perception alters the vibration that shapes experience. Prosperity is not a product of effort alone but of consciousness. The mind that vibrates with appreciation naturally draws conditions that reflect that vibration. It becomes a magnet for helpful people, favorable timing, and inspired ideas. Gratitude magnetizes supply because it affirms abundance already present. Joy amplifies this magnetism. When gratitude is the seed, joy is the blossom. Joy is not the fleeting pleasure that depends on circumstance, but the deep radiance that arises from alignment with divine order. When you act with joy, speak with joy, and think with joy, you generate a frequency that nothing negative can cling to. Joy dissolves fear, doubt, and limitation. It lightens the atmosphere of your life so that prosperity can move freely within it. Divine substance, like sunlight, flows best where there is openness, brightness, and warmth. Joy provides that environment. The practice of gratitude and joy turns ordinary activities into sacred rituals of abundance. When you give thanks for your meals, you bless the invisible supply that provided them. When you express joy in your work, you charge your efforts with creative energy that multiplies their return. When you feel grateful for the money you have, you purify it of fear and imbue it with the vibration of increase. Every act of gratitude and every moment of joy is a spiritual investment that yields multiplied returns. The law of the universe is exact. Whatever vibration you send out must return in kind. There is profound wisdom in the simple act of saying thank you. Those words carry creative power. They acknowledge that life is already giving, that the flow of good is unbroken. Even in moments of uncertainty, saying thank you affirms faith in divine timing. Gratitude is not limited to what is seen. It also extends to the unseen good that is on its way. When one gives thanks for blessings not yet visible, one speeds their arrival. The vibration of gratitude bridges the gap between desire and manifestation, turning hope into realization. Joy works in the same way but with a different quality. While gratitude draws abundance through acknowledgement, joy attracts it through celebration. Joy is the sound of the soul in harmony with its source. It announces to the universe, I am open, I am ready, I am aligned. When you move joyfully through life, you communicate confidence in divine provision. You become like a magnet humming with vitality, drawing to you all that matches your inner song. The higher your joy, the stronger your magnetic pull toward prosperity. Even in challenging times, gratitude and joy remain the most potent tools for transformation. When the outer world seems dark, the choice to be grateful ignites inner light. That light dispels shadows of fear and makes room for new possibilities. Gratitude does not ignore difficulty. It reinterprets it. It says, even in this, good is unfolding. Joy does the same. It refuses to let circumstance dictate vibration. Together, they create a field of harmony so strong that no condition of lack can persist within it. Prosperity begins as a vibration long before it becomes visible form, and gratitude with joy are its purest generators. The mind trained in gratitude finds evidence of abundance everywhere. A sunrise, a kind word, a small success, all become reminders of divine generosity. The heart attuned to joy dances through life as a creator, not a victim. It knows that every moment offers a chance to multiply good through appreciation. When gratitude and joy are practiced consistently, they form an unbroken current of magnetism. Opportunities begin to appear effortlessly. People are drawn to your energy. Money flows through unexpected channels. The outer world starts to mirror the inner radiance you have cultivated. This magnetism is not mysterious. It is simply the natural response of the universe to coherent vibration. Gratitude and joy create coherence between your thoughts, emotions, and spiritual essence. They dissolve the discord that repels abundance. When you are thankful, your energy expands. When you are joyful, your energy shines. Expansion and brightness are the qualities through which divine substance expresses itself most freely. Prosperity cannot help but move toward that light, just as plants turn toward the sun. To cultivate gratitude and joy, one must make them daily habits. Begin each morning with a simple acknowledgement of good: the air you breathe, the warmth of light, the opportunities of a new day. Carry that awareness into your activities. Give thanks silently before every task, every meal, every exchange. Let joy color your tone, your posture, your thoughts. Even if it begins as practice, it soon becomes natural, for the mind grows accustomed to whatever it repeats. Gratitude and joy, once habitual, create a constant vibration of prosperity that nothing external can disturb. Gratitude softens the heart, joy strengthens it. Gratitude receives, joy radiates. Together they complete the circuit of giving and receiving upon which prosperity depends. To receive without gratitude is to block the flow. To give without joy is to drain the current. But to give joyfully and receive gratefully keeps the current alive, vibrant, and multiplying. The more that current moves, the more life responds in kind. Prosperity is not the result of accumulation, but of circulation, and gratitude with joy are the forces that keep it circulating freely. Gratitude is remembrance of good already given. Joy is anticipation of good still to come. Between the two lies perfect faith. When you live in gratitude, you anchor yourself in the now, where divine substance operates. When you live in joy, you project that energy into the future, preparing the soil for more abundance. The universe responds to both simultaneously, weaving them into a continuous pattern of prosperity. Gratitude and joy, therefore, are not emotions to visit occasionally. They are the atmosphere of the prosperous soul. As one deepens in gratitude and joy, external wealth becomes a reflection rather than a goal. You begin to see that prosperity is a state of being, not a sum of possessions. From that state, all material needs are met easily and naturally, for the law of attraction can only bring forth what matches your vibration. Gratitude and joy affirm that you already possess all you seek in spirit, and so the physical world rearranges itself to mirror that truth. Prosperity comes not through striving, but through alignment with these higher vibrations that magnetize every form of good. I forgive the proud and the poor. Consciousness of increase multiplies supply. The universe is infinite in its givingness, ever-flowing, ever-expanding, and it responds unerringly to the thought and feeling of each individual. When the mind dwells upon increase, when it holds firmly to the vision of growth, expansion, and sufficiency, it becomes a magnet for multiplication. Everything in life responds to recognition. What you recognize, you realize. What you focus upon in faith expands, for consciousness is the mold into which the divine substance pours itself. To live in the consciousness of increase is to live in harmony with the creative law of the universe, a law that knows no stagnation, no limitation, only perpetual unfolding of good. All that exists begins first as an idea. The outer form is only the shadow of the inner pattern. If one holds thoughts of lack, fear, or contraction, the divine substance must take that shape. It is not that the universe withholds, it merely reflects. But when one fills the inner world with the vibration of increase, of constant growth, of endless possibility, then life rushes to match that pattern. The consciousness of increase does not depend upon possessions, it depends upon awareness. A person may have little, yet think in terms of abundance, and that thought becomes the seed of prosperity. Another may have much, yet fear loss, and that fear begins the process of decrease. The law is impartial, it mirrors consciousness. To cultivate the consciousness of increase, one must first train the mind to see growth everywhere. Nature herself is a living sermon of this principle. A single seed becomes a tree, one tree becomes a forest, one idea becomes a movement. The divine pattern is never one of diminishment. It is always more, always forward, always expanding. When the human mind aligns with that pattern by thinking increase, speaking increase, and expecting increase, it opens the gates of multiplication. Whatever you praise, appreciates. Whatever you condemn, depreciates. The thought of increase is praise in its purest form. It acknowledges divine abundance as present and active. Most people unknowingly dwell in the consciousness of limitation. They speak of what they lack, count what they have lost, and fear that good is running out. But divine substance never runs out. There is no exhaustion in the infinite. To think that there is not enough is to close the door to supply. The consciousness of increase opens that door wide. It says within itself, divine supply is endless and it flows through me now. It blesses what it has and expects more to follow. The vibration of expectation is powerful. It calls forth its likeness from the unseen. When you live in expectation of increase, you are no longer begging the universe, you are cooperating with it. The consciousness of increase is not about greed or accumulation. It is about recognition of divine circulation. To hoard is to fear loss. To bless and release is to trust the flow. Increase comes not to those who grasp, but to those who understand that giving and receiving are one motion of the same current. The river of supply must move, and the individual who keeps it in motion through faith, gratitude, and generous action becomes a channel through which infinite good can express itself. The more freely the current moves through you, the more supply the universe entrusts you. You cannot outgive the infinite, for every act of giving multiplies in the consciousness that gave it. A person who thinks increase blesses everything they encounter. They bless other people's success, knowing it adds to the sum of universal good. They rejoice in another's prosperity, for envy closes the flow while appreciation expands it. The consciousness of increase never fears competition, because it knows there is no scarcity in divine substance. Each soul has its own channel of supply, and that channel is opened or closed by thought alone. When you see good anywhere and bless it, you claim that same vibration for yourself. What you bless in another multiplies within you. Thinking increase transforms the vibration of every act. A simple task done with the awareness of expansion carries creative power. The worker who blesses his labor with thoughts of growth will find his skills valued more and his compensation rising. The business person who focuses on serving and expanding good for others will find profits multiplying in ways that logic cannot explain. The artist who gives thanks for inspiration finds ideas flowing more freely. Increase begins within and radiates outward through every channel of life. It does not come through strain, but through the steady recognition that divine substance is always pressing to express more. When one thinks in terms of increase, one lives above circumstance. Temporary limitation no longer disturbs, for one knows it is only a passing shadow before the greater good reveals itself. The consciousness of increase is steadfast. It does not fluctuate with appearances. It says quietly but firmly, all things are moving toward greater expression of good. That attitude of faith draws the unseen into visibility. The law must obey the pattern held in consciousness, for spirit cannot contradict itself. When your thought is of expansion, the universe rearranges itself to fulfill that vision. The consciousness of increase speaks through words of praise and expectation. To complain, criticize, or dwell on shortage is to sow seeds of decrease. To praise, bless, and give thanks is to sow seeds of multiplication. Every word carries vibration, and vibration shapes manifestation. When you speak of your business, your health, your relationships, speak of them as growing, improving, prospering. When you speak of money, speak of it as blessed, circulating and returning multiplied. You are never merely describing reality, you are creating it. The words you speak are blueprints that divine substance fills with form. The mind of increase delights in circulation. It knows that every outgoing gift sets in motion a returning tide. To give with joy and faith is to declare that supply is endless. To give grudgingly is to affirm that supply is limited. The same act outwardly may look identical, but the consciousness behind it determines the result. Divine law reads vibration, not action. When giving is done with the thought, this multiplies as it goes forth, the law responds by multiplying it. Increase follows faith as shadow follows light. Living in the consciousness of increase changes one's entire relationship with life. Fear diminishes because faith takes its place. Anxiety about tomorrow fades because one knows that tomorrow will bring greater expression of good. Opportunities appear because the mind trained in increase is alert to them. People are drawn to that vibration because it radiates confidence and generosity. The one who thinks increase becomes a center of growth, and all who come near are uplifted by that energy. Prosperity ceases to be a pursuit and becomes a natural condition. This consciousness also heals the false division between material and spiritual. Increase is not opposed to spirituality, it is spirituality in motion. The divine cannot be less than abundant, for its very nature is expansion. Every leaf, every star, every heartbeat declares the law of increase. To align with that law is to live in truth. Poverty consciousness is a denial of divine abundance. It is the shadow cast by fear. But the moment one turns toward increase, the shadow disappears. The awareness of expansion dispels limitation, as light dispels darkness. The consciousness of increase can be cultivated through daily affirmation and inner recognition. Begin by blessing what already is: your home, your work, your health, your finances. See them not as fixed, but as living expressions of divine substance capable of endless growth. Give thanks that they are expanding now. Refuse to dwell on decline or delay, for every such thought is a seed of contraction. Hold firmly to the idea that everything in your life is moving toward greater good, greater beauty, greater abundance. Feel it as already accomplished in the invisible, and the visible will follow. Every day presents countless chances to practice increase. When you admire the beauty of nature, you are acknowledging divine abundance. When you compliment another sincerely, you are affirming the expansion of good. When you invest your time, energy, or money with faith in positive return, you are living the principle of increase. The more you do so, the more natural it becomes. The law of life cannot help but respond, for consciousness precedes form. Increase is not an outer event but an inner realization. The world around you is only the canvas upon which your consciousness paints. Think increase, feel increase, speak increase, and you create a pattern into which divine substance flows unceasingly. The individual who holds steadfastly to this awareness becomes a radiant center of multiplication. Everything they touch takes on the vibration of growth. Every situation they enter begins to expand in harmony and supply. Life itself becomes a song of unfolding abundance, ever echoing the great truth that consciousness of increase multiplies supply. Every act of giving and paying with love expands return. The moment one gives with a heart full of goodwill, gratitude, and faith, the invisible law of circulation begins its perfect work. The universe is a living organism, and everything within it moves in rhythm. Inhale and exhale, ebb and flow, give and receive. The current of divine supply never stops moving. It only slows when fear, resentment, or indifference dam it. When giving is done in love, that current flows freely, returning to its source multiplied. Love is the activating principle of every law of increase. Without love, giving becomes mechanical and sterile. With love, it becomes magnetic, creative, and unending in its reward. There is a vast difference between giving from duty and giving from delight. Duty gives with calculation. Delight gives with faith. Duty fears depletion. Delight trusts replenishment. Love transforms every act of giving into a declaration of abundance. When one gives or pays with love, one affirms, divine substance is endless and it flows through me now. That affirmation, even when unspoken, charges the act with a vibration that calls forth more good. The coin that leaves the hand with joy becomes a seed that grows in invisible soil, destined to return many-fold. The energy of love clings to it and draws it back through unexpected channels. Every exchange of energy in life is governed by the law of circulation. Money, time, words, effort, all are forms of divine substance taking temporary shape. When they are withheld in fear, the current grows stagnant. When they are released in love, the current gathers power. To pay for something with love is not simply to settle an obligation, it is to send a blessing into the world. That payment carries your vibration, and by the law of attraction, it must find its way back to you in Giving and receiving are not opposites. They are two halves of one motion, each sustaining the other. When you give in love, you prepare yourself to receive in kind. Many people delay their own prosperity by giving reluctantly. They pay bills with resentment, imagining their resources being diminished. They offer gifts with anxiety, fearing they will have less afterward. They forget that the law of life cannot be fooled. It reads vibration, not amount. The same sum given with irritation yields little return, but when given with joy, it becomes a channel for increase. Love is the element that multiplies. It is not how much you give, but how you give that determines the harvest. One heartfelt gesture of generosity can open more doors than 100 acts of mechanical charity. Every act of giving is an affirmation of faith. It declares that supply is infinite and that you are part of its unbroken circulation. To give in fear is to affirm lack. To give in love is to affirm abundance. The moment you give freely, the universe moves to fill the space you have opened. Nature abhors a vacuum, and love creates the most beautiful kind. When you pay with love, you say to divine substance, I trust you completely. That trust draws forth new channels of supply. New ideas, new opportunities, new helpers begin to appear. What leaves your hand in faith never leaves your life. It simply changes form and returns enriched. When you pay a bill or share your resources, imagine the energy of love traveling with your gift. Bless the one who receives it. See it as a current of good moving into wider circulation. Know that as it blesses others, it prepares the way for more blessing to come to you. Each payment becomes a silent prayer of prosperity, a testimony that divine law is unfailing. Even small acts of giving, when done with this consciousness, hold tremendous power. They align you with the divine rhythm of giving and receiving that sustains all creation. The spirit in which you give determines the vibration of your entire financial world. If your giving carries irritation, fear, or indifference, those same vibrations echo back. If your giving carries joy, gratitude, and confidence, your returns carry those qualities multiplied. The universe reflects what you feel, not what you calculate. To pay with love is to keep the vibration of your affairs high and harmonious. It purifies every transaction of negativity and infuses it with blessing. Even a simple exchange, a smile, a word of appreciation, a coin dropped into a hand, can become a point of increase when love is present. Giving with love also expands the consciousness of unity. It reminds you that you are not separate from others or from supply. You are part of one infinite circulation of divine good. Each time you give joyfully, you affirm that connection. Each time you withhold in fear, you deny it. Love dissolves the illusion of separation. It turns commerce into communion, payment into praise, and generosity into worship. The giver and the receiver become one in the flow of divine energy. The gift may pass from hand to hand, but the love behind it remains eternal, multiplying as it moves. To give with love is to give with purpose. It is to recognize that every outflow is also an inflow in disguise. The one who gives from love does not measure or limit, for they know that divine substance is limitless. Their giving is not reckless but trusting, not forced but joyful. They give as naturally as a tree gives fruit or a spring gives water. The law of life ensures that whatever they release returns in perfect measure. When they pay for something, they do not see money leaving but circulation increasing. When they bless their giving, they multiply their receiving. This principle applies not only to money but to every form of energy. When you give attention with love, people respond warmly. When you give service with love, opportunities expand. When you give time with love, you find yourself enriched by peace and satisfaction. Love makes every exchange fruitful. Without love, even abundance grows empty, for it lacks the essence that sustains joy. Love gives life to all it touches. It is the hidden power that turns giving into increase and payment into prosperity. One can transform a daily life by practicing this simple law. Each time you make a purchase, silently bless the money and the hands it will pass through. When you pay your rent, bless the roof over your head. When you buy food, bless the nourishment it brings. When you share with another, bless their happiness and expansion. These silent blessings carry energy far beyond the immediate act. They create an atmosphere of grace around you that attracts more of the same. The world becomes a mirror reflecting the generosity of your heart. Fear says, I must hold on or I will not have enough. Love says, I can give freely because my source is infinite. Every time you choose love over fear in the act of giving, you deepen your alignment with divine law. The vibration of love dissolves the walls built by worry. It frees the current of supply to move in greater measure. It turns each transaction into an affirmation of faith. Paying bills becomes a joyous acknowledgement of circulation. Sharing becomes a dance of abundance. The consciousness of love makes every exchange sacred. When giving is inspired by love, it carries creative intelligence. Divine wisdom guides it to where it can do the most good, and from where it can return in perfect timing. The one who gives with love need not calculate results. The law does that automatically. Each act becomes a seed planted in fertile soil. Love is the sunlight that causes it to grow, and gratitude is the rain that nourishes it. The harvest may appear in unexpected ways, new friendships, new opportunities, sudden blessings, but it always appears, for the law of love cannot fail. The vibration of love expands everything it touches. It enlarges the heart, sharpens the mind, and beautifies the material world. When you give or pay with love, you place yourself in that vibration. You rise above the consciousness of struggle and step into the consciousness of overflow. Love keeps the channels of prosperity open by banishing fear. It teaches that giving is never loss, but transformation. What leaves the hand in love returns to the heart in joy. Every outflow becomes an inflow. Every gift becomes a gain. To live by this principle is to live in trust. It is to see every act of exchange as part of a grand circulation of divine abundance. The universe, ever responsive, multiplies what is given in love and returns it in new and greater forms. The act itself may seem small, but the vibration behind it reaches far beyond the moment, weaving unseen patterns of increase. The more you give with love, the more love governs your affairs, and the more abundant life becomes in all directions. For every act of giving and paying with love expands return.